Hello, parents and caregivers. Kat here, that parenting coach. Today, I want to talk about something that sounds really simple: letting your child feel heard. Because sometimes our kids actually do start telling us what's going on, and we unknowingly and accidentally shut the conversation down. Not because we're bad parents, not at all. Usually because we're trying to help. For example, say your child comes up to you and says, "Nobody likes me." And immediately, most of us say, "That's not true. You have lots of friends." And then they say, "My teacher hates me." And then we say, "Oh, your teacher does not hate you." They say, "You don't care about me." We say, "What? Of course I care about you." Or they say, "School is horrible. I'm not going back." And we just jump in and we say, "Well, you have to go to school." And here's what's interesting. Maybe everything you just said is completely true. They do have lots of friends. Maybe their teacher absolutely does not hate them. Maybe you love them more than anything in the world. But your child was giving you an opening into their internal world, and we just closed it because we responded to the accuracy of the words instead of the experience underneath them. Wait, what? Yeah, exactly. We were so hooked on what the words meant rather than what they were actually experiencing underneath. Remember, there's always something underneath the behavior. So that's where validation comes in. Validation is not, "You're right, your teacher hates you." We are not agreeing with everything they say. Validation is simply something happened that made you feel that way, and that lands different. So, if your child says, "Nobody likes me," instead of immediately saying, "Sweetie, that's not true," perhaps try, "Ugh, it felt like that today, hey?" And then, and this is the really hard part, stop talking. Stop it. Shh. Give them some space. Because maybe what would come next is, "Yeah, at lunch, everybody sat somewhere else." See, now we're getting somewhere. So then you could say, "That really hurt." And then you wait. Shh. Shh. Because maybe they'd say, "And then I asked Maya if I could sit with her, and she said there wasn't any room." Ooh, there's another layer. And maybe if we stay with them long enough, eventually we'll hear, "I don't think Maya likes me anymore." That's what's underneath. Not, "Nobody likes me." Maybe it's, "I'm scared I'm losing my friend." But we never get there if we just simply say, "That's ridiculous. Everybody likes you." Yes, we've reassured them, but we haven't necessarily heard them. And I think sometimes us grown-ups, we're just uncomfortable with children feeling uncomfortable. We want them to feel better. Fast. "You're sad, sweetie? Oh, let me make you happy." "Scared? Let me explain why there's nothing to worry about." "Are you angry? Let's calm you down." But what if we didn't rush the feeling anyway away? What if we just simply said, "You've got some big feelings about this. I'd like to hear more. What was that like? What happened next?" Or sometimes just simply say, "I'm listening." And then you give them room. Because silence isn't always something we need to fill. Sometimes silence is where your child is deciding, "Do I trust you with the next part?" And that's really important, especially when these little cute littles grow into teenagers. If every time they bring us something uncomfortable, we immediately lecture, correct, solve, minimize, panic, and they learned something. Maybe I don't tell mom about that. Dad's gonna freak out. They're just gonna tell me what I should have done. And then we wonder, why doesn't my kid tell me anything anymore? Sometimes the answer isn't that they don't want to talk. Sometimes they've learned what happens when they do. Now, of course, I am not saying you should never give advice. Of course not. There will absolutely be times when we need to problem solve. There will be safety situations we need to act upon. We will have things that we need to teach, but we don't always have to start there. So, may I encourage you to try. Just connect, understand, and then problem solve. You can even ask permission. After you've listened, try, do you want me to just listen right now, or do you want some ideas? I actually love that question, because sometimes they'll say, I just want you to listen. Okay, we can do that. And sometimes they'll say, what should I do? Great. Now they invited you into problem solving, and imagine how more willing they are to accept it. And think about how different that feels, because they weren't dragged into our solution. They felt heard first. Oh, I think there's another piece I should really share with parents and caregivers about this. Validation does not mean removing the boundary. Just in case I get someone saying something about that. So your child can say, you don't care about me because you won't let me go. Ooh, you can validate that without even changing your answer. You're really disappointed. You wanted to go so badly. And the answer can still be no. Both things can exist at the same time. I hear your feelings, and the boundary remains. That's such an important parenting skill. I think it's an important peopling skill, because we don't have to make every uncomfortable feeling disappear. Sometimes our job is simply to communicate, you're allowed to feel this, and I'm not scared of your feelings. That could be so powerful. Your child can be angry with you, and you can still stay connected. They can be disappointed, and you don't have to fix it. They can tell you something hard, and you can make room for it. And over time, those little moments teach them. When something is happening inside of me, I have somewhere to bring it. And that's what we're building, parents and caregivers. We don't want a child who tells us everything because we demanded it. A relationship where they know I can talk here is what we want to create. So, this week, if your child gives you one of these dramatic statements, nobody likes me, you don't understand, you don't care / love me, take a deep breath and out. No, seriously, regulate yourself. And before you correct it, before you reassure, before you give advice, just get curious and say, tell me more. And then give them enough space to actually answer. Because sometimes the first thing your child says isn't the whole story. It's just the door. And if we can resist the urge to slam that door shut with solutions, they just might invite us in. And if conversations like this are helpful for you, I would be so thankful for you to join our growing community here at The Parenting Coach, because parenting is hard enough without feeling like you're supposed to know exactly what to say in every single moment. We're learning together. We're talking about the brain, behavior, connection, nervous system regulation, what to say, what not to say, and all of those real life parenting moments where you're standing there thinking, okay, what do I do now? So, if you feel called, subscribe, stick around, share, and become part of the community. And make sure you check out That Parenting Coach website too. It's still growing. I'm constantly adding and building, but you can already head over there, look around, access resources, and create a free profile. There's lots more coming. Practical tools, parenting resources, therapeutic resources, and support that I hopefully I really do hope that helps you understand not just what your child is doing, but what's happening underneath it. Because that's really what we're doing here. Less judgment, more curiosity, more connection, and hopefully a little more confidence in those moments when parenting gets messy. Thank you so much for this. If you made it this far, hit like, subscribe. And I'm Kat, that parenting coach. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say to your child is simply, tell me more, I'm listening. I'll see you next time.